The mind is tempered not by victories, but by endurance in the face of defeat. The mind is forged not by victories, but by endurance in the face of defeat. Most people break long before life truly tests them, not because life is too cruel, but because their minds are too soft. They allow emotions to lead them. They allow opinions to define them. They allow fear to make their decisions for them. And when the pressure crushes down, they crumble. But Machiavelli understood what most people never will. The strongest mind is not the kindest. It is the one most controlled. He believed your mind is your throne. If you don't rule it, someone else will. Understand this. Becoming mentally untouchable doesn't happen by chance. You don't wake up one day and suddenly stop worrying about what others think. You build this mindset piece by piece through discipline, detachment, and strategy. The world will constantly try to break you. It will use rejection, betrayal, and failure to test your strength. And most people will fall apart. But you are not most people. You are here because you are tired of letting emotion dictate your reality. You are here because you want to command your reactions, your focus, and your peace, like a king who rules his own kingdom silently but completely. So before we begin, ask yourself, are you managing your mind, or is the world managing it for you? Because the answer to that question determines your destiny. If you allow the world to control your emotions, you will always be its victim. But if you take control of your mind, you become untouchable. Untouchable by failure. Untouchable by betrayal. Untouchable by chaos. Every test, every insult, every challenge will only temper you. From this moment, begin to think like Machiavelli. Detach from emotion. Observe human behavior. Use discipline as your armor and silence as your weapon. Because once you rule your mind, no one else can touch your peace. Now, before we dive into the 7 ruthless lessons, say this with me and write it in the comments. From today, I choose strength over emotion. Power begins with perception. How others see you determines how they will treat you, trust you, and fear you. Machiavelli understood that the world is not ruled by truth. It is ruled by appearance. People do not see your intentions. They see your delivery. They do not analyze your mind. They react to your image. In a society obsessed with perception, the one who controls the narrative controls reality itself. You can be wise, skilled, or powerful, but if you allow others to define your story, you give away your crown before the battle even starts. The most dangerous mistake you can make is thinking that truth alone will protect you. It won't. Truth is often too quiet, too subtle, too easy to ignore. Machiavelli once said, "Men judge generally more by the eye than by the hand, because everybody can see, but few can touch." This means the world reacts to what it sees, not to what is. People decide your value before you open your mouth. They judge your strength by your posture, your tone, your composure, and your mystery. If you look uncertain, the world will eat you alive. If you look controlled, they will hesitate before testing you. To be mentally untouchable, you must become the author of your own narrative. You must deliberately shape how others interpret your silence, your actions, and even your mistakes. Never explain too much. The moment you start defending yourself, you have already surrendered your authority. Calm silence is far louder than desperate words. Let them assume, let them guess, let them wonder. The less they know, the more power you hold. In every room, there is an invisible war for dominance, a battle of perception. The loud ones want attention, the smart ones want control. When you enter, you do not need to announce who you are. Let your presence speak before you do. People sense confidence long before they understand it. They sense authority long before they hear it. Every gesture, every pause, every subtle glance sends a message. I am in command. You don't need validation, you need precision. Understand this. When you control perception, you can bend reality. The person who appears unfazed is perceived as strong. The person who looks desperate is perceived as weak. You can face chaos and still look composed. And this illusion alone will protect you more than 1,000 words of defense. This is the psychology of influence. The mind believes what the eyes repeatedly see. If the world keeps seeing you composed, confident, and strategic, it will treat you accordingly, even if internally you are still learning to master that control. Machiavelli believed that reputation is the foundation of all power. He wrote, "Everyone sees what you appear to be, few feel what you are." Never forget this. Appear strong even when uncertain. Appear unshakable even when under pressure. Control your tone, your gaze, your words, and your energy. Your silence must be louder than other people's noise. When people try to label you, do not react. Rewrite the label with your actions. When they underestimate you, let the results speak. When they doubt you, reply with calm certainty. Control is not manipulation. It is direction, a decision about how your energy and image are perceived in a chaotic world. Once you master this, you stop chasing approval and start commanding respect. You will no longer live by how others define you. You will define yourself, because he who owns his story owns his destiny. Now, I want you to write this affirmation in the comments. I control my image. Emotion is the easiest weapon the world uses to control you. The moment someone can trigger your anger, your sadness, or your fear, they own you. Machiavelli understood this better than anyone. He observed that people who react emotionally are predictable, and predictable minds are easily manipulated. Detachment is not coldness, it is power disguised. It is the ability to observe chaos without allowing it to enter your mind. When you detach, you stop spending energy on things that do not deserve your attention. You stop reacting to every insult, every disappointment, every false expectation. You begin to respond with control instead of emotion. And in that moment, you become dangerous. Most people pride themselves on being authentic, thinking emotional expression is strength, but uncontrolled emotion is vulnerability disguised as honesty. When you react too quickly, you expose your triggers. You expose the places where you can be attacked. People sense this, and even unconsciously, they will press those buttons to control you. This is how manipulation works, not through force, but through emotional access. Machiavelli once said, "A wise man does at once what a fool does finally." He meant wisdom lies in control, in responding only when it serves your purpose. A fool reacts instantly. The wise remain still until it is time to strike. Detachment does not mean you stop feeling. It means you stop being ruled by feeling. You can feel pain without drowning in it. You can acknowledge betrayal without letting it shatter your peace. The secret is simple. You are not your emotions. You are the one observing them. Every emotion is like a passing storm, loud, wild, temporary. Do not chase the thunder. Stand still and watch it pass. This stillness is power. This is what Machiavelli called the strength of command, the ability to remain calm when everyone else is breaking under pressure. People will fear this calmness because they cannot read it, and what cannot be read cannot be controlled. Imagine two people facing the same insult. One explodes in anger, losing control of his image and words. The other looks directly at the offender and simply smiles. The second person wins without saying a word. He didn't react. He redirected. He didn't fight. He observed. This is psychological mastery. It is not about suppressing emotion. It is about owning it. You control what leaves your mind. You choose when to answer. You decide when to move and when to wait. This level of control separates the rulers from the ruled. Machiavelli advised leaders to appear merciful, faithful, humane, sincere, religious, and even to be so, but with a mind so balanced that when it is necessary not to be so, you can change to the contrary. This means you must know how to detach from your feelings when they threaten your strategy. If your emotion serves your purpose, use it. If it weakens your position, silence it. Emotion must serve you, not enslave you. Detachment also protects your peace. Once you stop reacting to everything, life gets quieter. You stop spending energy proving yourself right. You stop explaining to people who will never understand. You stop expecting justice in a world built on power. Emotional distance gives you clarity. You start seeing patterns instead of problems. You stop taking everything personally and start using it as data. This is when you begin to win silently. When you master emotional detachment, you stop being a slave to chaos. No insult, betrayal, or failure can truly touch you. You can bend, but you will never break. You move through life with composure, not fear, because no one can shake a mind that refuses to react. Write this affirmation in the comments. I feel, but I do not fall. Betrayal is not an exception in life. It is a pattern. The sooner you understand that loyalty is temporary, the quicker you will stop being shocked when people turn against you. Machiavelli warned that loyalty lasts exactly as long as it serves someone's interest. When that interest ends, their allegiance ends. To survive in a world built on self-interest, you must replace emotional trust with strategic awareness. The wise man does not rely on promises. He builds systems that protect him when those promises are broken. Most people suffer because they expect consistency in a world driven by convenience. They think loyalty is sacred, but it is actually conditional. Expecting betrayal doesn't make you paranoid, it makes you prepared. Machiavelli once said, "A promised benefit was a necessity of the past. A broken word is a necessity of the present." He meant people will change their allegiance when it benefits them, and you should never take it personally. Betrayal is not always an act of malice. Sometimes it is just human nature expressing itself. When you understand this, you stop reacting with anger and start responding with clarity. You no longer see betrayal as a tragedy. You see it as information. It shows you who values advantage over honesty, who pretends out of need, and who will abandon you when the winds change. The most strategic minds do not rely on loyalty. They rely on structure. They do not tie their survival to people. They tie it to systems. When you trust emotion, you make yourself dependent. When you trust design, you make yourself independent. Always have a plan that functions even if everyone turns away from you. Always position yourself so that no single person holds the power to shatter your peace or your progress. This is not cold, it is sensible. Detachment from blind trust does not kill connection, it refines it. You start valuing actions over words and patterns over promises. When you expect betrayal, you stop over-investing in illusions. You see through flattery. You notice the inconsistencies. You learn to read intentions before they reach your heart. Machiavelli believed that foresight is the greatest form of power. A leader who predicts deception before it occurs never loses control. He wrote, "A wise man does not expose himself to danger unnecessarily, since there are few things he cares enough about, but he is willing in a great crisis to give even his life, knowing that under certain conditions it is not worth living." This is not pessimism, it is realism. You learn to care selectively. You learn to shield your energy from unworthy causes and unstable allies. Most people die not because they are betrayed, but because they refuse to believe it could happen. They live in denial until the knife is already in their back. The Machiavellian mindset eliminates this illusion. It accepts human inconsistency as fact and prepares accordingly. You do not build walls around your heart. You build gates that only open for those who have proven their loyalty through time and adversity. And even then, you never forget that anyone can change. This is not cynicism, it is power. It means you are vigilant but not bitter, cautious but not cold, aware but never weak. When you expect betrayal, you stop fearing it. You become mentally untouchable because nothing surprises you anymore. Your strategy becomes your shield. Your clarity becomes your armor. You no longer chase loyalty. You command respect through your composure and preparation, because he who anticipates betrayal never bows to it. I want you to write this affirmation in the comments. I trust strategy, not sympathy. In a chaotic world, calmness is the most intimidating form of strength. Most people equate composure with softness, but Machiavelli saw it as a weapon of psychological warfare. When you appear calm while others panic, you project superiority without saying a word. The calm mind observes what the anxious mind cannot see. The cold thinker notices patterns hidden behind emotion. When you can appear serene amidst the turmoil, people begin to fear your control. They sense that nothing can shake you, and this mystery becomes dominance. Machiavelli wrote, "A prince must learn how not to be good." He did not mean cruelty. He meant emotional discipline, the ability to detach from kindness when it weakens authority. Being kind is easy. Remaining calm when everything around you is burning is divine. When people expect you to break, and you don't, their illusion of power over you collapses, and composure terrifies the unstable. It makes the impulsive hesitate. They cannot understand why you won't react, why you won't argue, why you won't collapse. This silence becomes a mirror, reflecting their chaos. Your stillness exposes their lack of control. The world respects the one who remains centered under pressure because it is a rarity. Most minds are slaves to reaction. They speak too quickly, decide too soon, and lose everything to emotion. The cold strategist pauses, studies, and chooses precisely when to move. Patience is not weakness, it is control over time. Machiavelli once said, "The lion cannot protect himself from traps, and the fox cannot defend himself from wolves. Therefore, one must be a fox to recognize traps and a lion to frighten wolves." This balance requires a calm surface and a calculating mind underneath. You must appear calm like water, but sharp as ice beneath the surface. People should not see the tracks of your internal process. Never reveal stress, doubt, or fear. Let them wonder, do you even feel it? The less they know about your emotional state, the more unpredictable you become. Unpredictability is power. It forces others to play by your rules. To appear calm, you must first train your inner voice. Every irritation, every insult, every unexpected problem must be met with a single question. Does reacting help me win? If the answer is no, you remain silent. This silence unbalances people more than anger ever could. A composed response kills arguments faster than aggression. The cold mind does not seek victory with words. It wins with energy. Even surrounded by hostility, maintain a slow tone, a steady gaze, minimal gestures. Confidence is communicated through stillness, not noise. This lesson is not about hiding emotions. It is about mastering the display of them. You must control the theater of your presence. What people see must always serve your advantage. Appear rational when others are irrational. Smile when they expect rage. Walk slowly when they rush. Show that you are never touched unless you choose to be. Over time, this aura becomes armor. No one knows your breaking point because you never reveal it. You become the calmness in every storm, the observer among the reactors, the strategist among the victims. Now, I want you to write this affirmation in the comments. My composure is my strength. Silence is not emptiness. It is control in its purest form. The more you speak, the more you expose. Every unnecessary word becomes a window into your mind, and once people can read you, they can predict you. Machiavelli understood that power is preserved through mystery. He knew that silence is not the absence of communication, it is a conscious strategy of dominance. When you speak less, people start to imagine more. They fill the quiet with their own fears, doubts, and assumptions. This uncertainty is your edge. The quiet person is never ignored. They are studied, analyzed, and whispered about. The world underestimates those who speak little until they act, and by the time they do, it's too late to stop them. Words are cheap. Everyone uses them to seek approval, but power does not explain itself. When you justify your choices, you give others the right to judge them. When you argue, you admit that someone else's opinion matters. Silence shatters this illusion. It sends a clear message: you owe no one an understanding. Machiavelli once said, "Nothing great was ever achieved without danger." He meant that even restraint carries risk, but silence is a calculated risk. It invites misunderstanding, but it also commands fear. People do not fear what they can predict. They fear what they cannot interpret. The quiet person who listens more than he speaks becomes the most dangerous presence in any room, because everyone wonders, what is he thinking and what is he planning? To master silence, you must first overcome the urge to be right. Most people speak to protect their ego. They explain, defend, and exaggerate to appear in control. But every explanation betrays insecurity. The Machiavellian mind has no such need. It speaks only with intent, only when the outcome demands it. You must learn to be comfortable with the pauses, with the tension of unspoken words, with letting others drown in their own noise. When you remain silent, you force others to reveal their thoughts. You learn their weaknesses while protecting your own. Silence turns conversations into mirrors that reflect the truth of others, but never yours. In negotiations, arguments, or confrontations, silence changes the battlefield. It forces the impatient to reveal too much. It forces the arrogant to lose control. Every second you hold your tongue, they show more of their strategy. Machiavelli's philosophy thrived on observation. The silent observer sees everything the loud forget to notice. You can read micro-expressions, shifts in tone, detail inconsistencies, hidden from those too busy talking. Silence is not the absence of power. It is the concentration of it. Like a sheathed weapon, but prepared, it holds energy without wasting it. Never underestimate how silence shifts perception. The person who rarely speaks is assumed to be deep thinking. Their words carry weight because they are rare. You do not have to be the smartest person in the room. You just need to be the one who doesn't need to talk. This alone separates you from the impulsive and the insecure. Over time, silence becomes your identity. It makes you unpredictable, respected, and intimidating all at once. When you do choose to speak, your voice cuts through the air like a weapon, because it is used with precision, not habit. Power is not loud, it is measured. The strongest presence does not need noise to be noticed. It needs composure, observation, and patience. Keep your plans secret, your feelings unreadable, and your words minimal. When people cannot decipher you, they cannot defeat you. Silence keeps you untouchable, untethered, and one step ahead of every mind trying to control yours. Write this affirmation in the comments: "My silence speaks power." Presence loses value when it becomes permanent. The more available you are, the less you are respected. Machiavelli understood that scarcity is the essence of influence. He knew that a leader who appears too often becomes common, and one who appears rarely becomes a myth. Absence is not withdrawal, it is a strategy. It creates a distance that breeds curiosity, authority, and longing. When people cannot always reach you, they start to imagine your worth. They replay your words, analyze your silence, and anticipate your return. This anticipation is power. Every great strategist knows that timing matters more than purity. Appear too often, and your presence loses its weight. Appear selectively, and every outing feels like an event. The weak crave constant attention because they fear being forgotten. The strong deliberately withdraw to make their presence more impactful. Machiavelli once said, "Men are driven by two main impulses, either by love or by fear." The wise person understands that absence can create both. When you disappear, people either miss you or fear losing your favor. Both emotions give you control. Constant exposure dulls the mystique. When people know everything about you, they stop respecting you. But when you become slightly out of reach, they begin to imagine more than they know. This imagination reinforces your image far more strongly than visibility ever could. Absence also protects your mind from noise. Constant interaction drains focus and exposes your patterns. The Machiavellian thinker values solitude, not for comfort, but for recalibration. When you remove yourself from the crowd, you regain perspective. You start to see what others are too distracted to notice. The crowd moves by emotion. The detached mind moves by clarity. To master absence, you must learn to retreat without explanation. Do not announce your silence. Do not justify your distance. Simply disappear when necessary and return only when your presence serves a purpose. Those who notice your absence reveal who values you. Those who don't notice reveal who never mattered. The rarest minds understand the rhythm of presence. They know when to step forward and when to fade away. Machiavelli advised rulers to manage visibility carefully. Understanding that distance maintains authority. A constant flame burns out quickly, but a controlled one lasts long. You do not need to be everywhere to be felt. You need to be remembered. Your absence must speak louder than the presence of others. Let people wonder, where are you? What are you thinking? And why did you pull away? This uncertainty maintains your relevance even when you are gone. It makes your silence echo longer than their noise. Strategic disappearance also filters loyalty. The people who remain consistent during your silence are those who are truly aligned with your vision. Absence becomes a test of character. It separates the curious from the committed. Most people seek attention because they measure value by reaction. But reaction is fragile. True value is measured by the silence that follows your absence. If people are still talking about you, referring to you, or trying to interpret your actions while you are gone, you have already built a power that does not rely on presence. When you master absence, you command attention effortlessly. You become an idea, not just a person, something that remains even when unseen. The world chases what it cannot have and respects what it cannot control. So pull back when you feel the urge to overprove yourself. Create a distance that elevates your value. Disappear not to hide, but to remind the world that your time and energy are privileges, not guarantees. Now, I want you to write this affirmation in the comments. My absence amplifies my power. Every form of power starts inside the mind. If you cannot command your thoughts, no strategy of wealth or influence will ever last. Machiavelli understood that the greatest victories are won in the silence inside the walls of your own mind. The world belongs to those who can direct their focus while others drown in distraction. To rule your mind is to master every battlefield, because every external test begins as an internal reaction. The strongest person is not the one who controls others. It is the one who controls himself when everyone is trying to shake him. When you own your internal world, nothing external can truly touch you. Most people lose the battle long before it begins. They let anxiety dictate their direction and emotion their decisions. Their thoughts move like leaves in the wind, governed by circumstances, led by fear. Machiavelli saw this weakness clearly. He once wrote, "The first method for estimating the intelligence of a ruler is to look at the men he has around him." What he really meant was the environment reflects the mind. If your surroundings are chaotic, it is because your mind allows chaos. If your world is filled with noise, it is because your thoughts are undefended. Control starts with awareness. Observe your thoughts without judgment. Discipline them like soldiers who must obey a command. Your mind is your servant and your master. If you fail to manage it, it will betray you. Every doubt, fear, and insecurity will rise and rule your decisions. But once you learn to detach from impulsive thinking, your mind becomes a weapon, sharper than any blade. The power of Machiavelli is born not from aggression, it is born from composure. The disciplined thinker moves slower, but every move penetrates deeper. He does not allow the past to haunt him or the future to overwhelm him. He lives in conscious control of the present. This level of awareness is what separates the conquerors from the conquered. Mental mastery requires constant training. You must learn to substitute fear with logic, emotion with intent, noise with silence. Every time your mind wanders toward weakness, bring it back with self-command. Every moment you resist an impulse, you grow stronger. Eventually, your thoughts begin to serve you instead of sabotaging you. The world cannot affect someone who is internally aligned. When insult, betrayal, or failure come, they lose power because your mind refuses to give them significance. Power does not come from resisting the world. It comes from mastering how your mind interprets it. Machiavelli believed that reason must always rule over desire. Desire blinds judgment. Reason guides it. The one who can remain detached yet decisive becomes untouchable. Every empire begins as a disciplined thought. Every collapse begins as a distracted thought. When your mind is ruled by fear, the world manipulates you through it. When your mind is ruled by strength, no manipulation can succeed. Control over the mind equals control over destiny. You stop living reactively and start moving consciously, step by step, choice by choice, unshaken by chaos. Rule your mind as a sovereign rules a kingdom. Defend it from the invasion of ignorance, corruption, and doubt. Feed it discipline. Guard it with focus, and let silence be its throne. Once you rule your thoughts, you no longer chase peace. You become it. Write this affirmation in the comments. My mind obeys only me. Being mentally untouchable does not mean you feel nothing. It does not mean you become cold, heartless, or detached from reality. It means that nothing, no insult, no betrayal, no failure, can control you. You become the master of your reactions, the owner of your attention, and the architect of your peace. Every challenge becomes a lesson. Every conflict becomes data. Every obstacle becomes an opportunity to harden your control. Machiavelli taught that power is earned through discipline, observation, and strategy, not by luck or temporary favor. When you apply these lessons, you do not just survive the world. You move through it with authority, clarity, and an unstoppable composure. Remember, control starts inside. When you rule your mind, no external circumstance can shake your foundation. Detachment shields you, silence amplifies you, absence increases your value, composure intimidates, strategy protects you from betrayal, and perception shapes the reality around you. Each lesson reinforces the other, creating a fortress of mental strength that cannot be breached. The untouchable mind does not react. It dominates through presence, preparation, and patience. You stop reacting to life and start directing it. If you found value in these lessons, take action. Hit the like button to show your commitment to growth. Share this video with someone who needs to awaken their inner strength, and subscribe to this channel because mastering the mind is a journey, not a single lesson. Every new video will sharpen your understanding, expand your strategy, and strengthen your resolve. Silence, strategy, self-command. This is the path of the untouchable. Step into it, build it, live it. Let the world test you and watch as nothing can shake you again. Don't forget to leave your affirmations in the comments. Let the words echo in your mind and commit to ruling yourself first. Because the moment you own your mind, you own everything.